Good morning, afternoon, good evening, whatever time zone that you happen to be in. Welcome to another edition of the XRP Army Community Channel. And today we've got a tremendous special treat. I'm going to be interviewing and just having a friendly conversation, a little fireside chat with Perry John Parker. And he is a former professional rugby player. Now he says he's semi-professional from London and loves XRP. So when I saw that on Twitter, I reached out to him immediately, and I was overwhelmed when he got back to me and said, yeah, I'd love to get together and talk. So it's my honor and pleasure to be able to give everyone the chance to be able to get to know Perry a little bit better. So Perry, would you like to kind of introduce yourself and say hello to everybody?
Yeah. Hi, everybody. Hi, XRP Army. My name's Perry John Parker. I live in London. And as Scott said, I've been part of, the XRP community for many years now, but also I started off my career in rugby from a young age. And it's a pleasure to be a part of the community, and hopefully now everyone on the same page and we can connect globally and become one team, we hope.
Fantastic. I love the idea of a team. So the first thing, you grew up in London. So have you lived in London your entire life, or did your professional rugby experience bring you out of England at all?
Yeah, so I lived just south of London as well from a young age. And then I traveled with rugby. Fortunately, I played in Scotland for Edinburgh. And then I resided in Wales for a year, playing for a team called Ospreys in Wales. Went back to the UK, or England, should I say, and played for a team called Rotherham Titans, which is in Rotherham, the north of England. Then went to Italy for 3 years, which was amazing. It's where I first started my kind of crypto experience, was 2016 in Italy, playing for Rovigo. Went to France for a year and played rugby for Dijon in France. And then 2018 or 19, came back to the UK and started playing semi-professionally and working on the side in tech recruitment.
Ah,
that's my kind of yeah.
So when you were growing up, when I grew up, I played baseball and football and basketball and tennis, and then when I got to college, I was the co-captain of my ski team at 2 different colleges. So those were kind of the normal sports in America to begin to grow up with and play. Each season we had a different sport. So when you were growing up, were you kind of like rugby all the time? And were you really good at it in the beginning, where you kind of felt like you had the potential to be able to be a professional?
My dad was a rugby player. So my father started me off at the age of 4. So I've played rugby since I was 4 years old, so quite young. But I was always the bigger guy, the big kid at school, the kind of like quite heavy, really tall, always the tallest above everyone. So I didn't really have any other sports that fitted my sort of physique or my body shape, and rugby was just my kind of like home where I felt really comfortable. I think it's really important as a child as well to have that comfortable approach, because as kids, as children, you want to have fun as well as win. It's all about winning, but taking part. But being somewhere where you feel comfortable, and that's why I felt most comfortable was rugby. I've played basketball as well at school to a good level, cricket. I played tennis, but the best team sport for me in terms of that team ethos and mentality is rugby for sure. So yeah, I'd say I've been playing rugby for about 30 years now.
Wow. Well, I have always been a huge sports fan. And the one thing that I've noticed about rugby is, I mean, to be honest with you, man, when I played football, I was really grateful for the pads. And that's the one thing about rugby. And it's like, man, that stuff looks like it's got to hurt.
Yeah, I mean, you can see from my ear, I've got a bit of a ear looks like a dog chew. My nose isn't straight. I've got pretty severe injuries from it, but I think, and I'm probably going to be in a wheelchair quite early on. I think I've got arthritis in my right hip, and I've broken nearly every finger, and my shoulders have been reconstructed. So it's quite an intense physical sport, very demanding. But also the adrenaline and the feeling that you get from taking part, the physical side is probably one of the most attractive sides to it, really, is that physical side.
And does England have a national team? Did you ever do anything as far as a national team with England?
No, so unfortunately never made it to play for England. I've played county level, which is like representing your county. So I captained the county of Sussex when I was a late teenager into early, I think 20. And then I played, the highest level I played was Champions Cup, which is like one level below international. So it would be like playing in the Super Bowl, and then obviously if NFL, you play for America after that. So it's like the highest level to represent as your club level, which is
right.
European standard, as it were.
Right, and Perry, rugby is not quite as popular in the United States as football, American football, with the oblong ball, not the round soccer ball. But the one team that I have seemed to have seen the most and heard the most about, that seemed, at least from everything that I've ever seen, to have been the most famous, have been the Kiwis. I mean, what is it about the New Zealand Kiwis that make them, I mean, so
special? They're pretty special, right?
Yeah.
So I think I've played with and against many current and ex All Blacks, but also lots of Islanders throughout my career, and they're amazing people. They're a different type of rugby player. They're very athletic, very strong. They eat different foods to us if they reside in New Zealand or Fiji, or there's a lot of different crossovers in terms of like the Pacific Islanders. So some guys are born in Tonga will play for the All Blacks. So not necessarily everyone that plays for the All Blacks is from New Zealand, but the Pacific Islanders and New Zealand, they're just they're cut differently, they're made different, they're amazing, athletic human beings, and they play some beautiful rugby, very, very skillful. Very good to watch, and I learned a lot from a lot of ex All Blacks and very high standing New Zealand rugby players. Yeah, just different breed of rugby there. So I would say they are the best team in the world, and they always will be, for sure.
Well, yeah, it just seems like it, and I mean, I don't know if they teach them or they're ingrained in them teamwork along with everything else, but it just seems like, again, from what I know, the All Blacks are just the elite in rugby, and they just seem to be, in a class above everybody else. For some reason, they're doing something kind of different from the beginning.
Yeah, I think there's a few documentaries that maybe you should catch. They had a bit of a bad patch around 2003 to 2007 where they had to reset their whole sort of approach to rugby. And then after the 2007 World Cup, where they lost to France, they came back and they won the 2011 World Cup. And in that period from 07 to 11, they just did a complete big reset. And we do things now that they implemented, which is things like be good men, clean up the change rooms in an away changing room, sweep the floors, sweep the showers, don't leave any tape or empty Lucozade bottles or Gatorade. And they implemented that, and that kind of filtered through into European rugby. So things like the changing rooms and just being good men on and off the pitch. That's what they built their foundations on, that kind of led them from that, out of that horrible patch into that winning streak that they're still in, kind of.
So you mentioned that you had gone into tech after you kind of slowed down a little bit with the rugby. And I mean, my goodness, your body must have been very grateful.
Yeah.
So how did you evolve into the tech? Were you a gamer? Were you playing, active on computers when you weren't playing rugby, that kind of thing? Did you go to any kind of schooling for, getting into the tech, or was it just kind of self-taught stuff?
Yeah, so I've always been a bit of a gamer on the side. As a kid, where I had like what did I start off with? A Commodore 64 years ago when I was a small child. Obviously, I'm showing my age a bit there. Commodore 64, Sega Mega Drive, N64, and then I went into PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2. I had all the PlayStations. So I was a bit of a gamer, but and I had lots of spare time when I was a rugby player professionally. We always we had like our gaming, Call of Duty and things like that. So, but my tech side really started when I left France. I was playing for Dijon. I had an opportunity to play rugby and work. So it's kind of like semi-professional, but full-time work. So less rugby and start to become part of the real world. And that's where I got into tech. I was offered an opportunity to be a cybersecurity salesman, so I had to understand cybersecurity quite well. The different types of firewalls, like phishing, all the different ransomware, things like that. So that gave me a good sort of stepping stone and foundation for tech. And then I'm quite a people's person. Being in rugby, I've always been in a team, and I like being in team, and I'm good at speaking to people. So I decided to kind of like move into recruitment, but in the tech world. So I now recruit kind of solution architects, technical architects, project managers, program managers for an ERP solution called SAP. I'm sure you're aware of SAP and Oracle.
Mm-hmm.
So I recruit kind of high level, well, across all different levels. So like ABAPers, which are people that are very techie and hands-on, project managers, S4HANA. I cover the whole ERP ecosystem. So I recruit all the different sort of levels of consultants and place them in clients of mine globally.
Well, how important do you feel like that the movement into blockchain relates to being able to have the world have a more secure internet world?
No, I think it's really important. I think that the levels that are on offer now in terms of the security levels, but also the different levels within blockchain is going to be hugely important in the next 3 to 5 years. The growth within blockchain and the possibilities inside and outside of that is massive. And I think that the security part is also going to play a huge part as well.
Well, do you feel like that the hackers are going to be able to do much of anything until they can develop a quantum computer to be able to hack? Or do you I mean, I realize I own a digital marketing company, so don't tell my partner that I can do anything technical. I have told him for 4 years that when I turn my computer on, I'm amazed. If he knows that I can understand a little bit, then I'll have to do more. So I don't understand any of it. But having said that, I realize that it's always going to be the hackers, the people who are trying to keep things secure are always just kind of going to try to be a step ahead of the hacker. But it seems like that with blockchain, until they come up with a quantum computer to help them hack, it does seem like it's going to give the security people a little leg up for a while.
And I agree. And I think that, like you say, unless they create some form of that's going to penetrate the new world that we live in with like 2FA and the blockchain security and the different layering systems. Also, cybersecurity is going to play a huge part in that. But I think that we've got, or the protection and the security do have the leg up, and they will do for the next couple of years. It's going to take something quite serious to kind of like penetrate and break that down.
And I don't know if it's been the same in England, but in America, the politicians and the mainstream media have tried to demonize crypto, Bitcoin being the best known, by saying that we don't want to go that. We don't want to do that. It's going to be used for nefarious reasons. And the funny thing about it, and since you've got a little bit of a tech background, it's the direct opposite.
100%.
You can launder money, cash, but that they had a energy company pipeline that they held for ransom in the United States, and they got paid in Bitcoin, and they got the money back in 2 months, or the Bitcoin back in 2 months, because it was on a ledger that they could trace. So have you seen, Perry, in England, that they have tried to demonize the crypto and the blockchain with the dumbest things that they could possibly say to try to get people not to like it?
I think actually the UK is the complete opposite, especially towards, I think they're much more accepted in the UK, especially England. The government are working hard to kind of like form good partnerships with blockchain and cryptos globally. We had a little bit of, should we say, an issue, I would say 6 months ago, where Binance, the UK banks stopped buys to Binance because there was that sort of, the security issue. But now that's calmed, and I think that majority of banks, I think 90% of banks are allowing us to buy direct from our cards to the exchanges. my banking is fine. I bank with Barclays, and I think the banks are much more open to it. They're very open to helping and assisting, and I think that the UK government are actually they want crypto to succeed, or at least some form of blockchain and the blockchain space to succeed. I think for sure.
Well, we have heard in the XRP community on this side of the pond that we've heard it a lot, not as much recently, but that the Bank of England had a working relationship when they were talking and discussing things with Ripple. Do you hear anything on your end about that kind of thing?
Yeah, so I've heard that exact thing. That we heard that the Bank of England were working with Ripple behind the scenes to form a partnership and build a foundation outside of the constant suppressed state that we're in with the SEC case. But I think that there is something building there that is quite special actually, and also as well. I mean, obviously, XRP is my number one and always will be, and it's kind of where my heart is. But I think also coins like Quant are doing really good things in the UK, building some really good relationships as well with UK banks, Bank of England, looking at kind of not mimicking XRP or Ripple or even the XRP ledger, but trying to create that form of bonds and partnerships with the banks in the UK. But yeah, on the XRP front, there is something that is brewing quite spectacularly behind the scenes with Bank of England.
And do you feel like that where we may be heading is that each country has their own digital currency, like England has the digital pound, so they all have their own CBDCs, and then we've got to have some kind of a system like RippleNet, and then have some kind of way for them to bridge together XRP, and that may end up being the way that it works, because I understand that these countries want to have their own digital currency, but they got to have a way to be able to interoperate with each other. So do you feel like that may be the direction that we may all be going in?
I 100% think that that's the direction. I honestly, 100% hand on heart, I think that we are leaning towards having a digital pound. I don't want to call it like a digital stable coin, but I think it will be a bank or a country coin that is some form of follows the exchange rates and the rates of the world of Forex or currency exchange, that each country will have some form of coin, and then RippleNet and XRP will be that form of bridge between everyone.
Yeah, I think that could be that would be the most exciting thing for me. I'm a little bit older than you, so my first computer experience was Pong.
Okay.
Do you even know what that is?
I've heard it in conversation once or twice before, but I don't know too much.
All it was a little thing that went back and forth on the screen.
Yeah, like a typewriter. Yeah.
You get in front of it to kick it over in the other direction.
Yeah.
So yeah, Commodore was quite further along in my experience. Pong was the first thing. So now let's dive a little bit deeper into your XRP experience. How did you run into XRP? What did you think in the very beginning? And I'll give you my brief version. I started out, the first thing I saw in 2013 or 14ish was Bitcoin. I was fascinated. I watched Don Tapscott do a video about, blockchain. I got it, but I didn't do anything until 2017 in December, when I bought my first crypto, which was Bitcoin, and it was 15,000, and 90 days later it was 3,000. So I went from bragging and telling all of my friends that, do this, I'm going to get rich, and then I had to keep my mouth shut for a year, and then a year later, 2018, I saw Ripple and XRP. I was like, huh? And I don't know about you, I didn't have any problem with the fact that they were going to work with the banks and that it was a banker's coin, because it just made practical sense. And I remember what Brad Garlinghouse said: you're not going to have the central banks give up the power of the money. They're going to break out the tanks and the guns first. Yeah. And I got that. So I didn't have any resistance to Ripple being a banker's coin and working with the banks. So I'm interested to hear, and I'm sure everyone else is, what was your introduction to XRP and how did that all happen?
Yeah, so I'm similar to you, Scott, is that I got into crypto, I think, end October 16. And it was a good friend of mine, Josh, who he had a friend that kind of said to him, look, we're looking at these coins, we're looking at crypto, and it's the first time I ever really heard properly about exchanges and how to buy and sell. So I'd heard of Bitcoin years ago. I was told to come in on this new blockchain thing. I think it was as early as 2012 or 13, too mature, but I had an opportunity to buy Bitcoin in 2015, and I didn't. For whatever reasons it was, I didn't know why I didn't come in. I should have, looking back now. But my first buy was Ethereum, and I had Ethereum at under 100 euros per coin.
Nice.
Yeah, my first buys were Ethereum under 100 euros. I think XRP, I brought XRP around 2 or 3 cents the first time round. Yeah, so I've been in a full bear and bull market. And I learned a lot. I made some mistakes, and I sold majority of my portfolio when the crash came in. The first crash started, what was that, 17, 18 of the last cycle. So I've been through the highs and the lows massively, and I've learned a lot from that. But I think what drew me to XRP is that the community and just the utility, the out and out utility of what XRP offers and the community offers is just second to none. I don't think, we're the greenest, we're the fastest, one of the cheapest transactions, if not one of the cheapest transactions as well in the market. And I think that utility is so strong, and what the different relationships that Ripple are building, and the different relationships and foundations they're building outside for the CBDCs, it's just too good to not go so well and be the number one spot. I think it really will be within the next 5 to 10 years. We will be the number one spot for sure.
I agree 1,000%, and that's one of the reasons why I own other cryptos as well, but by a large margin, XRP is my largest holding, and I was fortunate. My dollar cost average is 25 cents. It wasn't down like 2 cents like yours, but still, even with the ups and downs, when we went to $1.94, I was extremely happy. But even when it came back down, and where when it was 60 cents a week and a half ago, I'm okay. What I've done for my own sanity, and I don't know if since we've been around longer than maybe some of the people that are going to be seeing this video, one of the things we may be able to help them do for their sanity. What I've done, Perry, is I've told myself I'm not really all that interested in the price until the SEC versus Ripple case settles. And then after that, if we just don't go anywhere and get any traction, then maybe I had this wrong all along. But I don't get too high or too low until that is over. And then once that's over, and thinking that Ripple gets the regulatory clarity that they're looking for, there's going to have to be a huge boomerang effect of all of this buying pressure that is coiled up. And when speculating, investors take a look at this market, and they see one that definitely has absolute regulatory clarity, and all the other ones could have Gary Gensler coming after them.
I think the fireworks are yet to be lit massively. I think for me to give advice would be, I've never been into making a quick buck. I learned the hard way from buying my portfolio or holding my portfolio and selling at panic because I didn't understand the full cycles. And I think as well, you learn a lot by your own mistakes. And if I could give any advice, would be to, unless you know exactly what you're doing, or you have someone who is a day trader, and even the day traders make mistakes, right? Just hold. Have those goals where you won't buy again. So I've set myself that I won't buy XRP above £1 at the moment. I work in pounds, obviously, because I'm in the UK. So my pound or my penny average is probably, for my portfolio, would be in and around 35 to 30p to 35p, because I still have been accumulating. but for me, because I wouldn't say I'm addicted, but I have the love that I have for XRP is quite strong. So I'm still accumulating. But I think the advice would be to hold. And I would say that, like you said before, there's got the coiled spring that we're sitting on that XRP is right now. It will be amazing to see XRP fly past that sort of $7, $8, $9 mark. I truly believe that we will see one of the biggest green candles that we're ever going to see since crypto was even launched back in 2010. 2010 was Satoshi.
Yep.
So yeah, I think I have a goal, and my goal is to hold for the next 10 years. I'm very fortunate where I work hard, so financially I'm not using the money that I need to live on. Yep. And that's another good key point to make, is that don't use the money that you can't afford to lose. Yep. But for me, you don't lose until you sell, right?
Yep.
So sit on it, hold, be patient. You've got to be very patient, right? But just know that what you're investing in, if you truly believe it's going to go places and that you have full faith in that, then you don't need to sell. So my goal is for the next 10 years, I will go through this run. I may take some profits to then buy back in if we go into when we hit the crash. And then when the next halving is happening in 24, I'd look to just stay calm and go through the whole next bull cycle and see where we end up. But I won't be selling any XRP. It'll be the other coins that I hold. I hold only utility coins really. So VeChain, Cardano. I hold Mana, part of the metaverse. But yeah, I won't be selling any XRP at all.
Well, also the gaming, I think one of the people that I follow very closely, if you haven't, I would highly encourage it, is a guy named Alex Becker.
Okay.
He owns two multi-million-dollar software companies. And wow. I met him before or saw him before in the digital marketing world. And then I was kind of looking through YouTube one day and saw that Alex had gotten into crypto. And he is just keeps talking about the potential of what is going to happen with gaming, because when they monetize these gamers, I mean, there's 3.5, if I get the number right, there's 3.5 billion gamers on the planet. And once they monetize that niche, I mean, so Gala Games is one of the ones that I'm so glad that Flair is involved with. And so, do you feel like that the gaming part of crypto has got a large market to grow in once it begins to kick in?
Yeah, 100% I do. And I think just from being a gamer myself on the side, but also having a young 10-year-old boy who is into, I mean, the amount of money that my little boy has spent on Fortnite is outrageous. Quite sickening, really. But like you say, once there is something that is links all of those gamers together, whether it's a token or some form of payment or whatever it may be, I think it is huge, and it's going to be even huger. I think could be one of the biggest, should we say, processes in crypto would be the gaming industry for sure. 100%. It can't not. It can't not.
I believe. Yeah, I see it that way as well.
Yeah.
So, do you as far as the SEC case, that's always a topic to bring up with people. Are you following it as closely as all of the people are in the United States?
Every day.
Yeah.
Every day, every day. I mean, things like when the SEC filed motion to the extension time today, like all the small little details. I'm on it. I follow Jeremy Hogan. I follow all the guys in the XP community and that are connected to the law case. The judges. I still cannot compute. I cannot compute how we are still in the situation that we're in. I can't see it. I don't understand how it's not been settled. It's beyond me, and it just shows how much corruption there is.
It makes my grandfather was a senator, and so was my great uncle, and when I know that they're rolling over in their graves because when they were in government, it was not like it. I don't know. Maybe it was this bad, but we've got social media now that it's more transparent. And I mean, it is one of the most shocking, and I've been shocked a lot watching all of this stuff. But Perry, one of the things that shocked me the most just happened. Empower Oversight, the SEC says, oh, we don't have any communication between Hinman and Simpson Thatcher. Oh, but we didn't really use a search query that would have found anything.
Yeah.
It turns out we got 1,000 pages.
Oh, I know.
1,000 pages.
Not 10,
900
not
pages.
100. Yeah.
1,000 pages worth of information. And
yeah.
I mean, it's just shocking that and I've got to believe that at some point that Gary Gensler has got to be feeling some heat that, you know, and I know that I feel, in my opinion, he feels protected by his central bank buddies. And, but I mean, it just can't continue the way that it has. The level of corruption is just so obvious now. Hopefully somebody's got to do some kind of an investigation and set some of these wrongs right.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think, like I said before, it's the frustration is so at the forefront of this case from everyone, not just in the XRP community, but I think also in the crypto space, because people, we get a lot of Bitcoin maxis kind of like bad mouthing us, right? And I'm not a maxi at all. I'm not a maxi. I love crypto across every coin. I love every coin. I love crypto. I love what it does for people's world. It can change people's worlds. It's offering a new world. We're in a new world, right? And I think we should be a community together. I don't like the separation between maxis and Bitcoin hate XRP, and it's just ridiculous. But for me, to go back into the set case, is that what Clayton did on his last day in chair is still beyond me, that how that is then okay for him then to go and work for an Ethereum and Bitcoin based company. That is, for me, that is the biggest circus act that I've ever had to deal with. Not just because I'm in XRP or any coin. I don't know how people cannot compute that is wrong. How is that okay on last day in chair in office to then drop that and go and work for or be affiliated with an Ethereum and Bitcoin company, or invested in or whatever you want to.
I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, and it just we keep finding, and that's one of the things again that I feel is nearest and dearest in my heart is our XRP community. Because I mean, we've got the greatest researchers, and then once they've got the dirt that they've dug up, we've got the greatest YouTubers that are getting the message out there to everybody, and then we've got the smartest, just the average Joe lunch bucket community member in our community. We've got the best community in crypto. Without 100%. Any doubt at all.
100%. Yeah. We kind of touched on it a bit at the start of our conversation, Scott, about like rugby and teams and team sport. And I think that's probably one of the reasons why it's such a nice place to be a part of the XRP community, because it's like being in a team. Yep. The XRP army, the XRP community as a whole, it's like being in a rugby team, and I think that's why I feel so at home. Everyone's so supportive. Everyone is on the same page. We're all in this together. Everyone's got the right mentality, right? But for me, something has to change, and hopefully it's going to change very soon.
Well, and along those lines, one of the things that we've started recently is called the XRP Army Messaging Brigade. And what we want to do is begin to message in mass, because the first thing that we did is we were inspired by John Deaton when he put his Connect to Congress movement up, that project. And that inspired me. And I was like, well, maybe we can get together. And I think if we could get 10,000 people to invite John to be interviewed by podcasters or influencers or whoever, got a better chance if we've got 10,000 that are doing it. So we put out there Joe Rogan, because I'm a big Joe Rogan fan, and I figured,
me too.
Well, let's give that a shot. And I was blown away. We ended up, we had a goal of 10,000 invites for John. And I feel like that John, I was lucky enough to meet him at the Washington, D.C. protest. And the thing that impacted me the most is two things. And I'm not going to get into, my man crush on John Deaton too deeply here. But the fact that he has been so willing to give his time pro bono to the people in this community really inspired me to want to do something to try and be supportive of John. So we put out the Joe, let's try to see if we can get John on Joe Rogan. I was blown away. We got 17,000 people that came on that sent an invitation out to see if we could make that happen. We're still hoping that Joe's going to do it. But we kind of figured after 17,000, that's kind of the, Joe's got the point. We need to move on to see if we can do something in another direction. The main thing that we want to try to do is that I'm very team and goal oriented, the same as you. Because I feel like that if we can get 10,000 people pretty much to message on demand, there's not an interview that we can't get. There's not a politician that we can't get their attention of if we work together. And I 100%. Wanted to kind of get, your feelings on if you feel like that's something that our community, if we could come together to message more effectively, if you feel like that would be a good thing for everybody.
No, I agree totally. I think also as well, I can do my part in the UK. When John, I think I helped push the documents that we all signed over here for John and his institution. So I'm more than happy to fly the flag, or help as much as I can with the messaging on this side of the pond as well, for sure. I think it's massively important. The more noise we make, but unified together is going to really help us get onto that bigger stage where we deserve to be.
And that the thing is it's such a simple thing, because we're not trying to ask people in the community to develop a new skill to be able to do. They're already tweeting. They're
daily.
Yeah. So you're doing 10 tweets a day talking about, okay, great. One thing a day, if we can do it together, has a massive impact. So huge. Not asking anyone to do anything any differently than they're already doing, just do it together, focused as a team. And I've never seen, except once, the Wall Street bet guys did it. And look what they did. They screwed up the whole way that the mutual funds were trying to manipulate the market, right?
Yeah.
Came together. And I've never seen any other, but they only did that once. But if we can consistently bring this community together as a messaging team, I mean, the upside, in my opinion, is limitless if we can pull that off.
I think we need to be aiming for. I mean, what were the numbers that we got together for John on the signatures? Was it 75K plus?
65,000.
65.
On the ones that had joined up for the lawsuit.
Yeah. So we surely we can get to 100K on the messaging. Surely, if we get everyone together, surely globally.
And I really do believe if the judge looks at it, when it's time for him to do his thing, 100,000 is going to have a little bit more of an impact in her mind, even than 65,000 does.
100%. It's a numbers game, but it's again being united on that. I'm 100%. I'm sure we can get to 100,000 for sure.
I believe that we can too. And again, for everyone to just do it. I mean, do that. Everything else that you're doing, great. Keep doing it. Nobody's asking anybody to stop doing the things that they're already doing. Just make sure you do this for the team. Before, look, I don't want anybody to change their life drastically. I'm just saying, look, we need to make a simple shift from 95% me to 5% we, and we can do something. And again, it's kind of cool because, Perry, it's never been done in the history of the world. I mean, look what Gandhi did, and he didn't have social media. I mean,
incredible.
Well, I mean, we can do something never done in the history of the world before, all with just one tweet together a day. That's it. 5 days a week. Take the weekend off. I know the work is exhausting.
It doesn't take long to throw a couple of tweets a day, though, does it? For sure.
No.
We can do something really special.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I'm really glad to hear that, and we will, we will be reaching out to you from the
Yeah.
messaging brigade, because we definitely need someone to plant the flag in England.
Yeah.
And
I'll be there.
over there, and there got to be people over there that would be interesting interviews.
Yeah,
So,
England and also Europe as well. In Europe as well,
yeah,
we've got you've got Spain, Italy, France. We get all the surrounding small areas that we can kind of get close to us for sure.
That sounds fantastic. Well, I kind of feel like we covered the things that we wanted to, so I'm kind of are you feeling anything else that you would like to say in the interview portion of our being together?
No, I just think that it's just, for me, it's just such a pleasure to be on here with you and be asked to come on. It's a real actually, it's quite an honor for me. I was quite chuffed that you messaged me to ask for that. And I think my message would be just that if we just keep staying together as a community and together as an XRP army that we are, special things will happen, and it's all about taking small steps forward as one.
I couldn't agree more, and I'm so glad that we did get together now, because I think we're going to be able to try and collaborate a little bit together and make some magic happen. And one last thing that I did want to ask, because I know that my girlfriend's going to ask me when she watches this.
Yeah.
So, and all of the other women that are going to be watching this, I'm sure that they're all going to be asking the same thing: is Perry single?
No, I unfortunately I'm married to XRP.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll make sure to let Carrie down gently, but I know that's going to be one of the first things that she asked me. So, well, Perry, I can't thank you enough. It is so exciting when I get to meet somebody that I feel like that we're coming off the same page, and we kind of have the same vision of what our community and XRP can become. And we also saw the gaming thing. I think we see that eye to eye as well. I always ask everybody that I interview, I would hope at some point that we could come back and do this again. And it is 100%. Fantastic having the opportunity to meet you, find out a little bit about you, and be able to share your story with the XRP Army.
Yeah, no, 100%. I look forward to the future and what it brings, and I'll be by your side all the way.
All right. Thank you very much.
Awesome. You're welcome. Cheers, Scott.